Three, two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be talking about a film that our good friend Boris put forward, since we are kind of following the superhero tradition, but it is not your regular superhero film. It is more or less a superhero horror film. A lot of people have said is basically if Superman had grown up evil instead of good. But let us see what IMDb says about the film. What if a child from another world crash landed on Earth, but instead of becoming a hero to mankind, he proved to be something far more sinister, which is pretty much basically what it said. So,
yeah.
But let's go into let's go into first impressions here, since this is your choice, Boris. Why don't you tell me, was this a first time watch for you?
Actually, yes, it was. Although usually when I choose a movie to watch, it's usually one that I have seen before. But this is actually a movie that I have been told about before, and people recommended me to watch it. They said I would probably enjoy it, and yeah, Krol was one of the most recent people who suggested it to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to use this opportunity to finally watch it, and yeah, people were absolutely right when they said I would enjoy this movie. It was a real delight. I loved it. The character is, well, of course, he is evil, but very entertaining to watch. I must admit, I have often found myself wondering what it would be like if some child with superpowers went psycho and tried to take over the world. And this movie
or even worse, if Damien had actually grown up with these powers.
Well, kind of, yeah. I was reminded of the Omen too, and the kid in the movie, his hairstyle is a little bit like Damien in the remake from 2006.
He is.
Yes, I really enjoyed the movie, and although it was supposed to be scary, I can't help it. I had fun watching how the guy was screwing around with everyone.
What about you, Krol, or Mr. Brandon Byers himself? Since for the discussion, what was your first impression watching yourself?
Well, this is my second time watching it. Yeah, like I said, I recommended it to him. I had found the movie. I don't know what I was looking up. I think Superman movies, or I don't know what I was looking up, but I happened to find the movie, and I was like, "Ooh, there's a movie like an evil Superman." Like, I hadn't heard of it. For some reason, and I just happened to find it, and I watched it, and I loved it. It is a fun movie. I mean, yeah, you don't root for him because he's the villain, but he's very entertaining, and there's definitely some great kills and some spit outs.
Oh yeah, the spit outs were delightful.
I'd say at least 3 spit outs. At the very least.
Did you also pick up?
We'll get into we'll get into those when we talk about the movie. But yeah,
definitely.
yeah, there's definitely I'd say at least 3 split hours in the movie. In the movie, some I mean all his kills were good kills, but yeah, there was 3 in particular I find really gruesome and fun or whatever you want to say. I mean it is a when you watch a horror movie, um, I judge it by how good the kills are usually, because well with murder movies, or monsters or whatever, because that's what you got to judge it by because you're not
Well, yeah.
rooting for the character, but if you're gonna watch something like that, well, you gotta root for something, and may as well root for the kills because that's what you're gonna get.
It's
So,
interesting that
um,
it's a superhero film that's more like a
super villain.
slasher movie than it is
Yeah, it's I wouldn't call it a superhero. I'll call it a super villain. I mean,
okay.
he says he wants to do good, right before he offs his mother, but he wants to do good. That doesn't mean he's going to. I have been looking all over, and everywhere everywhere I've looked, it says there will be a sequel. Um, but everywhere I looked was wrong on when. So uh, I think there will be a sequel. I think
Definitely.
I think he might be working on a sequel. They said after he was done with Suicide Squad, which he had already finished that, and I guess he's already finished Guardian of the Galaxy 3. So James Gunn is
Well,
free to do the second
James
movie.
James Gunn is not, in fact, the director of this movie.
No, producer. He's the producer.
James Gunn is not, in fact, the director of the movie. He is
He's
a
the
producer on
producer.
this movie.
I
It
didn't say he
is,
directed it. I said he produced it.
yep.
I know he is. His brothers wrote it.
But the story is written by Brian Gunn and Mark Gunn.
Yes.
It was filmed in 2019. And it was directed by David Yarovesky. Now, before this film, he'd done a horror film called The Hive. And then after this film, he did a horror film called Night Books, which was filmed in 2021. So David Yarovesky seems to like to direct films in the horror genre, which is nice.
But anyways, yeah, I really hope for a Brightburn 2, and I would love to see more. I guess that they mentioned kind of like a Aquaman, an evil Aquaman at the end of Brightburn, and they mentioned the witch, which could be the Enchantress, which, well, okay, she was already a villain,
Ooh.
but still, uh, it would be very interesting. I really love to see them build up and then like fight the Justice League, but this isn't officially DC, so I doubt that would happen. But who knows? Who knows? This is the world of crossovers, and you never know. You can keep hoping for stuff like that, but that's my hope.
True,
Anyways, I
true.
love the movie, and on to your first impression, Dave.
Sure. I remember a lot of talk when this first came out. And I think that I had picked up the movie shortly after it was out, possibly the Black Friday after it came out. But I saw it once. I remembered watching it with Tammy, but I had completely forgotten about it until it was brought up for this discussion. And watching it again, I did like it. At the time, I I basically just watched it to watch it, but this time I was able to like sit back and like enjoy it a little bit because you know it's fun to watch films and try to enjoy them a little bit more. And I liked it. I mean, the kid, he seemed innocent. I mean, I was uh, this time around. I kept thinking of that horse scene in Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage in the barn. I was like, is that movie? No, it's not. Because there was a scene in the barn in Nicolas Cage's Color Out of Space where the horses like become like this like mutated thing, and I kept thinking like when they were going to the barn with that trap door that I was going to see horses that were like fucked up and shit, but all we got was the chickens.
Oh,
Okay.
they were freaking out over him.
Yeah,
You
they
mean
were.
you mean they chickened out?
He just wanted some fried chicken.
Uh, Sorry,
But
what did you say?
I said he just wanted some fried chicken.
But once the parts came up, it's like I remembered them as like they were happening. So when he broke the girl's arm, and then when he
And
um, broke the dude's jaw, and he just kept holding his jaw in. I specifically remember that, and I know Tammy was sitting beside me, and
that was
uh,
about.
she doesn't like things that happen with eyes. So when she cringed at that moment this time around when the chick was trying to take
The waitress.
the girl's mother was trying to take that piece of glass out of her eye.
uh, yes, actually, I have to admit I looked away at that moment too. It was a little too gruesome for me as well. It reminded me of the eye scene in I Spit on Your Grave.
I did not look away. I watched every gruesome second.
Fillet of eyeballs, basically. But but anyways, I enjoyed this. I mean, it was definitely a different take on the superhero
Man,
horror genre. Well, actually, from the viewpoint of the growing up of a supervillain, you know. So you don't normally see the bad guy and his origins, glorified in anything. So I thought it was
Joker
unique.
and this is about the only ones.
Yep, even though it was a bad Joker, at least the first time around. But in any case,
What do you mean bad Joker?
I'm talking about the first Suicide Squad.
Who's talking about Suicide Squad? I'm talking about the Joker movie, origin story, Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, that one was good. That one was good, and I'm
That's
hoping
what I'm
that
saying.
the
When you
second
mean bad
one
Joker, like nothing to do with Suicide Squad. Talking about the origin story.
Well, when I think Joker origin story, the first one I think of is the first Suicide Squad.
Why? That wasn't an origin
Because
story.
that was the first time they actually center pointed on the Joker.
They didn't center point on the Joker.
Okay, but in any case,
He was
if you
a
want,
fucking gold wearing moron that had the Joker name. That wasn't really the Joker. And Jared Leto fucking was horrible.
and yet he was pretty good as Morbius recently.
I don't know about that, but he was actually really awesome as the Joker in Justice League. So he redeemed himself there.
But in any case, so moving on. Well, we get the first scene where you get the husband and wife who are getting it on in their bedroom, and all of a sudden a crash happens, and um, you see a what the fuck a moment where they're like, what the heck was that? And we then are fast forwarded 12 years later, but we get a montage of like childhood of video and audio of, I guess, the child growing up. And then we meet Brandon Byers or Briars is what his name is, as his mother is whistling through the house because they have a specific like thing they do together, and he
Kind of
seems like a
creepy the way
regular
kid
kid.
does it.
He seems like a regular kid. I mean, he's playing hide and seek with his mother, you know.
He's a regular kid at first.
Yeah, actually.
And he goes to school, and he's like this really nerdy kid because he knows all about like hives and or hornets and stuff like that, and he
Wasps.
impresses the chicks at school.
Like Damien in Owen too.
Yeah, that's the one thing that they never do with Superman. They never show how smart he is when he is extremely smart. You know, he's super intelligent. You know, just like he's super strong. You know, like they always talk about all these other feats that Superman is, but they never talk about him being smart. He's super smart. You know, but I
Yeah,
like how
yeah,
they definitely showed that with this character,
And
because we all, like I said, we all know it's
just like
Superman.
any nerdy kid, he's
It's
got
all based on.
a whole bunch
I
of
mean,
kids.
instead of Clark Kent, he's Brian Branders. Instead of Smallville, Kansas, it's Brightburn, Kansas. You know, so they took everything from Superman, and like I said, just it's not officially Superman, but yeah, we all know it's Superman, but gone bad story.
yeah.
Well, and while he's at school, you can tell that he's like kind of an outcast, sort of. He's got kids who laugh at him just for the sake of him talking about like maggots and stuff like that, and um, you can really tell that the girls in the class like really respect him, though. You know, like
Well,
really
the one
think of
girl did.
him.
The one girl that he has a crush
Well,
on.
all of
The one girl
well,
that
the
he
one girl in
literally
front
had
of
a crush on. He literally had a crush on.
Oh,
Get
good pun.
it?
and she
Literally
is a
crush.
cute kid. She is a cute kid for a kid, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Then I think in the next moment, his parents and him go on a camping trip, and right before the camping trip, I think his um, mother comes across like some pornography and some
Not
other stuff.
really, but yeah, there was
Well,
definitely women. There was definitely women, and they saw organs, and they thought that was kind of weird, and you know, but yeah, the father has a little talk with his son
yeah,
about
not
playing with
much
it,
of a talk, really.
about playing with his penis right now. Oh no, not right now.
Yeah, that
But
was.
it is okay to exercise your feelings on these things. It's okay to express yourself, you know. So when they get back, actually, while they were still camping, um, he ends up like going to the girl's house and like literally like stalking her and
Yeah, plays music on her laptop when wakes her up, and she just shuts her laptop, and then turns around, goes to go back to bed. He turns back on, and she's like looking like, "What the hell?" And then he's standing in the room, and she sees him. That's when she screams, and the mother comes in, and she said, "Someone's there," and he's like, "There's no one here. It was Brennan Byers." Like she saw him, she knew it was him. and she's all completely freaked the fuck out, of course.
Well, yeah, I think it was definitely a creepy moment for a
Oh yeah,
girl of her age. So
but that
yeah,
was actually after he threw the tractor.
true.
And
Yeah,
that was a
he
spadao.
he was trying to. I didn't call that a spadao really, but okay.
Well,
Yeah, he's
are you
trying to
talking
turn
about
it
the
on, and
lawnmower?
he kept pulling it. The lawnmower, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Tractor.
yeah.
But he kept pulling it and pulling it and pulling it, and then all of a sudden goes flying across the grounds, and then he goes and finds it, and for some
Yes.
reason he decides that he wants to stick his hand in the blades, and instead of cutting his hand off, nothing happened, and he stopped the blades. So yeah, we saw that he was basically invincible.
And then shortly after this um, moment with the girl is the next morning while they're back at home. He's like eating breakfast, and doesn't he eat his fork or something like that?
No, that was later.
Okay,
That was after the restaurant.
so I think at this moment then it would probably be the next scene would be the exercise class, correct? Where they're doing this trust
Yeah,
experiment, which I
I've
think
done that.
I think if you're in any kind of gym class, this is what they do. They put you in a circle, and you just kind of stagger around
I
to make
got dropped.
everybody like holds you up. Well, um, the chick that he like really likes thinks he's a perv, so she when it comes to her chance to hold him up, she
Hold
does
him up.
not.
She
She lets him fall
creaks,
down,
and
and everybody
he
laughs at
smacked
him.
his head. He smacked
Yep,
his head
uh,
too.
and because
And
this bad thing
the
happens
teacher
to
tells him to help her up, and she's like, no. And then he's like, you're gonna fail if you don't help him up. And then she goes to give him his hand, and he literally crushes her hand and breaks it. And then we see them in the principal office, the parents and her mother saying that he should be arrested, and he wants the little boy arrested, and you know the mother, his mother's freaking out saying he's just 12, it was a mistake, and the cop saying it's not your business, it's not his, that it's not
him.
her say about him being arrested because he's only 12.
And
actually,
Brandon's mom is like, hey, maybe since you're so gung ho on like pointing all these bad things out on a 12 year old, maybe you're the one with the problem. Um,
actually, uh, sorry. Uh, can are you going to finish, and then I will say what I was going to? Sorry, I
I'm fine. Go
interrupted
ahead
you.
and say what you were going to say.
Oh, okay. Well, I have mixed feelings about the gym scene. I mean, as far as we saw until then, the only bad experience that girl had with Brandon was that thing when he appeared in her room, which, okay, we as the viewers know that it was real, but as far as she knew, it may have been just a nightmare because when her mother walked in, nothing was happening, and I assumed her
Oh,
mother
she
told
knows she
her.
was awake because the laptop.
Yeah, but I thought she was left thinking she had just dreamed it up, like it didn't really happen.
Well,
I
Uh,
didn't, I didn't get
I
that impression.
I didn't get that impression from her either. But her mom didn't really see anything per se, which I think she was probably getting that whole parent thing. Well, maybe it was just in your mind kind of thing.
uh,
She didn't see it, but
yeah,
she
so
certainly
Yeah, but the daughter knew she saw it. The, the,
I'm
the,
sorry, who?
the daughter knew she saw it.
Oh, yeah, she did see it, but the point I was trying to make was since it was all it was all left as if she had just imagined it, or as if it had been a nightmare or something. And then after that, okay, like I said, we as audience do know that it actually did happen, but
Well, right,
uh,
but I know your point, but I don't get that she
mm,
I could see
ever
why
felt
he
like a
thought it.
dream.
I could see why he thought it because the mother
Yeah,
was
but
oblivious to
but
it,
that's what parents do because they try to rationalize things.
well,
and
yeah, but
that's the thing. The thing is that apparently whatever the parent says is what the child believes. But
uh,
Yeah,
no, in
but no,
reality,
she's
she
a
knew what she saw.
teenager. She's a teenager. So or almost a teenager. So she has her own mind, and she knew what she saw. She wasn't convinced that she just had a nightmare like her mother said. She knew she saw it. She knew that he put
Which is why
her laptop
she
on
called out.
twice. And,
Which is
uh,
why she called out twice that he's a pervert. No,
yeah,
I'm not going to do anything with him.
yeah. She
uh,
wouldn't help him
yeah,
up because
but
he's a pervert. And,
at that point, no one even knew that Brandon had any superpowers. So how could even she explain the laptop
oh, she
turning
couldn't
on
explain.
and
She's 12 though. She just knows what she saw. She doesn't know how she saw it, but she just knows what
mm,
she saw. She had no idea, how this kid could do anything. Just like when he threatened her mother, she was completely scared to death for her
well,
mother, but
that
she still didn't
happened
know yet.
later.
She still didn't know he had any superpowers. I mean, yeah, she broke her hand, but that still doesn't say he
Okay,
has superpowers. But
okay. At that point, maybe she could figure out he was something out of this world, but
not really.
if, sorry, what?
Not really. I mean, there was
just that,
nothing to point.
just that
There
he
was
had
nothing to
a lot
point
of.
that he was alien. I mean, yeah, he was strong enough to break her hand, but that's it. I mean, it wasn't like her mother's a
Oh,
full grown adult. There was nothing showing that he could hurt her mother, but she believed him when he said, "I'm taking care of that." Like you knew that she was going to do something to her mother, even though there was nothing like she didn't know he had superpowers or anything. Like he hadn't shown any of that. She just, knew that somehow she got in a room, and then he broke her hand, and you know, but he was just super creepy, and she believed it, but she had no proof of anything. She hadn't seen anything.
Now
mm,
there is a moment where it looks like it turns out that it's his 12th birthday party, and
Hmm.
his uncle and aunt try to give him a present that just so happens to be, I think, a BB gun.
No,
uh,
I think it was a full grown rifle.
It was a full blown rifle.
and
I think it was a real rifle. Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's also interesting to notice there weren't any children there, which implied he didn't have any friends of his
Yeah.
age.
No, the only one that was nice to him was that girl, and well, he scared her away.
Uh,
Which
uh,
honestly, I kind of feel for him because growing up, my sister was the one that had like the friends to invite to her birthday parties, and me, well, I was that weird kid that couldn't have any friends at his parties or anything like that. So, um, because I was just that weird growing up, that's how it was.
I
My,
I kind of know the feeling too.
he's that kid with the disabilities. So she can have the better parties, but whatever.
I had buck teeth, so I was a fat kid that looked like Bugs Bunny.
But
Sorry, what did you say? You had
Buck teeth.
Bad teeth.
Bucked
Buck
teeth.
teeth,
You know,
which
like
means
Bugs Bunny?
really large front teeth.
Yes.
Not really familiar with that
You know
word
Bugs
in
Bunny?
English.
You know Bugs Bunny?
Yes.
That's buck teeth. His teeth, all his
Ah,
teeth. Yeah.
ah, I see.
That's why I used to describe myself. I said, I'm a cross between Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, what's up, Doc? But anyways, moving on. So after, well, we get that whole the father is like totally against him like having like a gun
The gun.
because
Yeah.
he
He's too
he,
young.
he
He's just a
evidently had
kid.
had to talk, and he's just a kid and all that jazz. I guess he's really against his kid having a gun.
Oh, wow.
Well, honestly, who in their right mind would think it's a good
Well,
to
and like
give a gun
in
to?
certain places like Texas and stuff like
Oh,
that, they totally think that 12-year-old kids should have a gun. There are places that are like that. So, yeah,
Seriously?
yeah, there are.
Wow.
I don't think an 18-year-old should have a fucking gun. But I think you should be mentally mature enough to be able to have a gun, and I don't think 18 is old enough. Maybe
Uh,
25, depending on the person. But yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not.
I
I don't
agree.
think I don't think that a person that young should own a gun, a full ass rifle. I
Yeah,
think for
I
a
don't think they
small like
should.
BB gun, maybe. Because I grew up with a BB gun, a gun when I was like 12 to 15. Okay, and
I
as
didn't.
long as you are doing it in
You
your
shoot your eye out.
uh, as long as you're doing it with like a proper adult, like in the room or outside wherever you are, I don't see a problem with that. But having a full ass rifle when you're 12, no. Maybe when you're 18, but even then,
No, I don't think so.
supervision must be involved.
I don't
Uh,
even think you shoot at 18. But anyways, that's beside the point. But the kid freaks out and slams. He's like slams down. He's like, "Give it to me!" And that's when the father's like, "Okay, we're done here," and takes the kid. And the aunt says, "Sorry." um, and you know, they go home and
But
um,
after that, well, that's pretty much when it starts. The anger.
actually the hand was actually after that birthday scene. Because then we have the scene where
yeah.
he has to go to the guidance counselor, which is his aunt,
Yeah,
and she's asking him if he has any remorse, and he goes, "Sometimes bad things happen to good people for a good reason. Happen to people for good reason." So he's showing no remorse whatsoever to what he did, and his aunt's trying to explain to him that he needs to that she has to tell the sheriff, what what happened in the session, and tell his mom too, and that he's giving him a chance that he's not having a good impression, and Brennan doesn't change his mind, but that's when then we get the next scene where he
oh
goes to the house
yeah.
and he knocks on the door and it's late and she's like goes in bed and she comes down and he's like, "What are you doing? It's so late." And he's like, "We need to talk." He's like, "Okay." And he's like, "So earlier you said you had to tell the sheriff." And he's like, I don't think you should. That would be bad for me and that would be bad for mom and it'd be really bad for you." So he's threatening his aunt right there. And she's freaked out and tells him, "Go home now." He's like, "Okay, I'll walk home." And she just slams the door in his face. Like,
But it's but it is kind of funny that you know you hear that alarm system. It kind of goes off and shit, and then
Yeah, it kept saying someone's in the backyard. And she looked and like, Brian, is that you? And she doesn't see him, so she thinks it's on the fritz. And
I
I actually, for some reason, I thought he had killed his aunt, but she actually wasn't never killed. So
No.
no,
yeah,
she wasn't killed, and
she's the only one that survived.
he stood
Um,
he stood and
the,
looked down at her while she was about to go to sleep, and he stood in the back of her living room. You could see him
yeah,
um, in the back, but that's about as far as he went.
yeah, and
But
then he went and then he was in the closet. And his uncle found him. And he saw him with the mask. He's like, what are you doing in
uh,
my closet with this creepy mask?" And he's like, "I'm taking you home." And he's like,
he
I'm
dragged him
gonna
out to the car.
tell your parents." And he's like,
yeah,
get in the truck." And Brandon wouldn't get in. And he's like, Brandon's like, "You shouldn't tell my parents." And he shoves him. And the uncle's like, "What the fuck?" And then he can't see him. So he gets in the truck and just drives away because he freaked the fuck out. Like, how's this 12-year-old boy just fucking threw him flying, you know? And he's basically going, and all of a sudden, his truck stops and it won't go anymore. It won't turn on. And then he sees Brandon in front of him with that creepy hood, with his feet off the ground, kind of flying. And he's like, "Oh hell no, no!" Like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And his truck still won't start. And then then he comes and he picks up Brendan ends up picking up the truck, and the guy, his uncle is freaking out. He's like, no, don't do this, no, and then he drops the truck, and then we see the uncle, and his jaw falls off out of his face, and he's holding onto his jaw, trying to hold it, and then we get the next scene where they're rushing at the hospital, and the aunt's there, and at that point he's not dead, he's still
No,
alive, but
yeah.
I guess
they
he
actually
dies
they
overnight.
never said he died at the hospital, but then when they get home, the parents tell him, "Oh, something happened. Your uncle's dead," and he goes, "Okay." Just okay.
He's
And they're
okay with
like he had no feelings whatsoever. And then when the father accused him, he's like, "Oh, I would never hurt him. I love my uncle." And he's like, "You're lying." Like second ago he was just like, "Okay, he's dead." And now
well,
all of a sudden he loves
and
him.
when he
Yeah.
and when the kid comes home after them worrying about him so much, he's got a balled up shirt in his hand, and his mother tries to take it from him,
That's right.
and
That's right. He won't
so
let
he
him.
just walks off. So one of the
Yeah,
things the
she
mother
tried
does
to
is
say
he
that
goes and
he was
finds
at
him.
our soccer game. He was invited, and then all the kids picked on him and was pushing him down and stuff, which sounds reasonable. He was picked on and stuff, but of course that was a fabrication because he was killing his uncle. But yeah, he hid then he hid the shirt, and the father, when he went into to take a shower, the father found the shirt, and and showed it to
Yep.
his wife, and his wife's
And
like,
she's not believing.
she's like, "What are you saying? How can our 12-year-old kid have done this?" And blah blah blah, and the father's like not convinced, and then he ends up taking out Brandon again to go shooting. Only this time he's decided that he has to take Brandon out. That they raised him, and he's not the kid that they raised. He's this horrible monster, and he decides he's got to shoot him, and he shoots him in the back of the head, and Brandon just turns around like he felt like a little pebble on his head or something, and turned around and realized that his father
But
had shot him, and his father's like
he
trying to
got
reload.
angry. He
And this is the second spit out. Like the jaw was the first spit out.
Oh,
When Brandon shoots his father in the face with his laser beam, and then shoots it out the other side of his head. That was the second spit out. That was so
good ow.
Spit
Oh,
out!
and when he was breaking things in the house, that was the
Meanwhile,
whole series of Spudao.
meanwhile, the sheriff has been putting two and two together because while everything has been happening, he's been
He's been leaving
uh
the BB,
he's
the weird BB sign.
yeah. There's this sign that is left at every single one of the murder
Oh yeah,
sites.
we actually forgot about the waitress, the mother.
Yeah,
Oh,
he does go, and I think he does kill her.
Well,
Eventually,
actually, he takes her, and then he kills her, and then you don't see what happened to her. I mean, you assume she's dead, or or he has her stashed somewhere, but then you end up seeing her dead body in their basement next to his ship. When
oh yeah.
when his mother goes to get the metal piece from his ship,
And
she sees the.
well,
interestingly enough, the girl apparently survived too. We didn't see anything happen to her
Yeah,
after
he
her
has
heart
he
was
didn't kill the girl
broken.
or the aunt. They're the only ones to survive. At least this first movie.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they appeared in a sequel.
well, the other thing that is happening all throughout the movie is that whatever is still electronically alive in this ship is speaking to Brandon, and he starts to understand what it's telling him to do. It's
Take the
basically
world.
telling
Take the
him to
world.
take the world,
Take over the world.
which is ultimately, something that you think that Martians or aliens would probably do if they got here. They would invade planet Earth and destroy
Well,
it.
see that's the thing that everyone thinks, but I guess I'm more skeptical. Like who's to say that they're warmongers just because they could just be explorers? I don't think aliens would automatically mean that they're enemies, but of course, the
No,
government think that.
but I believe in this day and age, if an alien came to planet Earth,
Well, you do know that the government
you,
has said that aliens are real, right? You know that's the thing, right?
huh?
Yeah, I
That
heard
that that
something.
that that 51 or in Area
Uh,
51, everything is real. That there are aliens. That's actually came out.
uh,
I'm not.
I
I'm not
heard.
joking. I'm not
No,
joking.
I know I did hear something about it. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
didn't
It's
read
been
into it
confirmed that
deeply.
that they've been lying all this time that there really were aliens, and I'm not surprised at all. I've always believed in
Mm.
aliens. I mean, to think we're the only people in the fucking entire universe is ridiculous. The fact is, maybe the fact that the go up and we haven't seen a lot. Who says they even have the travel, or if they have the travel, maybe they studied us first and said, "Fuck, I ain't going to that fucking world. They're just gonna attack us." You know.
Well, I just don't believe in this day and age that we'd go close encounters on their butts and try to like communicate with them first. I think if an alien were to crash land or come to this country, the first thing we would do is try to eliminate
Oh,
the.
of course, because we have a bunch
Yeah,
of fucking morons that shoot first and ask questions later, and so
uh, uh,
you know,
you beat me to it. Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Even
believe
if
in
there
that at
was
all.
another alien or another race or whatnot, they wouldn't live to tell the tale. So
The thing is we think our weapons can hurt them. Maybe our weapons can't hurt them. I mean, who the fuck knows? And maybe they were peaceful, but then you shoot at them, and now they're not peaceful. You just cause them to fucking be warmongers because
Right.
you attacked them. I tell you, if I went to a different planet and immediately got attacked, I'd retaliate, even if I didn't intend to in the first place. I wouldn't be out and go
Mm,
get attacked. You know,
yeah.
so
It,
yeah, I mean, and it's always these military people that are like, fucking shoot first, ask questions later, just like they did with Superman in like the new Superman movie, and the luckily he was raised by an awesome family, and he's pretty much more human than a lot of humans, and he was a very decent person, and he didn't retaliate, but because he basically what couldn't be hurt, but he just
Well, in any case, we have the sheriff who has kind of like placed two and two together because he comes up to the house and makes his accusations.
yeah, he
That
wants to search the house, but she
yeah,
refuses him, which you can without a warrant. They do not. They can politely ask. You could tell them no. Without a warrant, they cannot go into your house.
and
Of
while
course.
while the boys are off camping, she decides to go and search his bedroom, and she finds all these drawings of the different things that have happened, and it's just
Yeah, him killing the waitress, him killing his uncle. Like he actually drew all that, and she's like, "Oh my god, he was right." Like her husband was right, and then we get her calling the husband. And she's like, "Oh my god, you're right. You were right. He's a killer." Blah blah blah. And then you hear Brandon on the other end, and then where's Dad? Oh, you know where he is. He's gone. Gone where? You know where he's gone. He's saying he killed him, she knows it, and she's just trying not to admit it. And then she's like, "Well, where are you?" And he's like, "I'm home." And then she's like completely freaked, and you see him up in the sky, and then he crushes the cell phone. And then this then he well I mean, I guess you call it spit out, but I don't. But yeah, he starts smashing the house and breaking up everything, and it was
she
a
ends
great
up
scene.
jumping outside the window and running towards the barn, and she actually does something smart here. She actually goes into the door.
Yeah, because we
Works off
did forget the
the
scene
ship.
earlier where when he first found the ship, he jumped down where the ship was, and all of a sudden he had a cut. He got a cut from the ship, and they had said he had never been sick, never even got a cut or anything else. Like
It
so,
was like
obviously
his kryptonite.
his ship could hurt him, which I had forgotten about.
Uh,
And so she went to get a piece of the ship, which she does, and that's when she sees the waitress, and
and
she hugs him and stupidly says, "I always loved you," instead of just killing him. She gets dramatic about it and gives him time to realize that she's up to something and stops her. And then just before that he goes on, "I want to be good," and then she tries to kill him, and then he flies her up in the air, way up in the up, and then he drops her, and that's a spit out. That is a big
At
spit
first,
out.
I was thinking that he was going to
now,
take her up into like space and let space like mutate her body into a corpse, but
No,
you get that
even
whole
worse.
dropping her
I,
down from way up high.
I think that would have been a quick death. Um, this I think is worse. He just drops her from all that way, and she.
mm,
I would imagine she probably died from a heart attack before she hit the ground. But if not, yeah. Anyways, yeah, horrible death.
And
And then
anyways,
to cover all that up, we see a plane flying, and then all of a sudden we see the news and the FBI all there and saying, "Oh, a plane has
and
crashed."
they explain it away that
That
that he was the survivor of a plane crash.
yeah. So
actually, I think
he made it look like the plane did all that damage to the house, and the plane killed his parents and the sheriffs, and
well, I think
he
he made it seem that way. Actually, we saw the plane flying towards him while he was still in the sky. So I
yeah. So
assume it was
he
him
grabbed
who brought the.
he grabbed the plane, and he brought it down and he threw it down on his house, making it look like the plane crashed. I mean, we didn't see that, but we can tell that's exactly what happened.
And of course,
Yeah.
he's sitting in the back of an ambulance eating some
And
cookies.
there was no survivors in the plane either. So he killed all the people on the plane as well
Yeah, so
as,
he's the only survivor, yet he just sits there calmly and eats
eating a cookie.
cookies.
Eating a cookie, yeah, and then we get all the news flash of mysterious person blows up building in Brightburn. Mysterious person shown flying up in the sky, and then we get the guy who played Yondo in Guardians of the Galaxy, and a lot of other things. Him talking about basically evil Aquaman and the witch and
Michael Rook.
Brightburn, and basically there's all kinds of people walking among us, and we must fight against them. You know, and then we get the credits. But yeah, it totally sets up for not only a second movie, but an expanded universe.
Yeah,
And I want it. I want it. I want this evil
me too.
expanded universe. Yeah.
Uh,
I love superheroes, and I'm not a huge horror fan, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I like the supervillains too, because
right?
you gotta have some really good villains to have good heroes too. So yeah, I definitely approve of this. These I really hope that they do more movies.
I hope
I
that they do, too. I would like to see what happens after this. At least see where they could take it from. As long as they do it kind of similarly, well, and yet doing it different,
I know
um,
what you mean. The
keeping the
same
same
style.
vibe.
The same
Yeah.
style. Now I guess some critics liked the movie, but it didn't do as well at the box office as expected. So but they still want to do a sequel. So I don't know. I've read mixed things about how much money it made. I mean, it did make money, so it didn't lose money. Just didn't make a lot or whatever. But I mean, it's a new thing. We're taking the superhero idea and turning him into a supervillain into a horror film. I love the idea, but obviously it's a new idea, and now some critics did say that they could have done more with the movie and wasn't as good as it could have been. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess it could have been better. I loved it though. I really enjoyed it, and
oh, me.
I think they did a great job. I think if they want to do more than that, there should be another movie. I think there's plenty of room for more movies, and I think that's why it was done the way it was done, because he's just learning. He's just learning, and I think the way he killed things and covered his tracks, because the uncle was drinking, so it could have easily have been he was drinking and flipped his truck. Um,
So
the waitress was the only one he didn't really cover, but he did take her out of there, so they never found the body. So
So according to IMDb, it had a budget of 6 million
Ooh.
estimated, and
yeah,
then
see, I've read several things where it was a budget of 6 million, and then I read something else where it said it was a budget of 12 million. So I've definitely read different conflicting thoughts, because I was trying to find out if there's going to be a Brightburn too. So that's why I read all this, because I
Yeah.
really want a second Brightburn.
according to IMDb, it grossed in the U.S. and Canada about 17,340.
Yeah, I read about 18 million. So if it did have 6 million and made 18, that's pretty decent. Even if it was 12 million 18, that's still not bad. I
And
mean,
worldwide, it made 32,893,000.
yeah. See, I don't see why people are saying it didn't make much. I mean, these movies actually lost money, and this definitely did not lose. I mean, no, it didn't make like what DC or Marvel does, but again, this is a villain, and it's a horror film. And so, horror films tend to not make as much money in the first place, and it's a completely different idea. I love
See,
it.
I think
But
it made money.
it did
From the
make money. I'm just saying it didn't make Marvel money or DC money because it is a horror film. It is something different. These types of films don't generally. The horror films generally don't make a lot of money. Um, you know, so it just I think I made more than the average horror movie does. So yeah,
I
I don't
agree.
know
Um,
what people
uh,
complain with.
so let's go into production, and what we thought about production. Boris, why don't you tell me what you thought about the production and how it
I
went?
I thought the production was really good. It had a lot of effects that probably weren't easy to put together, like the scene with the glass shard in the eye of the waitress. That was well, okay. It was gruesome. I couldn't quite look at that scene, but that only means it was really well done.
All the shit you've seen, you couldn't look at that.
uh, it kind of, yeah, there are some things that
After watching Salo, I can watch anything.
after I'm sorry, after watching what?
Say hello.
Salo. Don't watch it. Don't listen about it. Don't even think about it after this.
Uh, okay,
It is the most horrific movie ever.
okay.
Jesus
Uh,
fucking Christ.
and also the scenes with the laser eyes and the father's hand falling apart, the way it was done. And what else was there? Oh, the nightmare where we saw a distorted version of the mother picking him up as a baby. That was also quite well done. And there were quite several such scenes that really I imagine it wasn't easy to do. And yeah, I'd say it was quite good.
Okay. What about you, Krol? Or Brandon Byers? What did you think about your own movie and its production?
Oh, my movie was awesome. It had some great special effects. The way they showed me flying and killing other people was great. I loved it. It was very gory. The eye scene was gory and fun, and yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed the spit hours. I guess the eye moment was kind of a spit out as well. So we had
So,
we got the eye, we got the jaw, we got the dropping from the sky, and shooting the father with his laser eyes, and coming out the other side of his skull was another spit out.
so uh,
Epic.
for you, it's a spudaw only when someone dies.
Yes, but only. Well, the waitress hadn't died with her. She just had her eye fucked up, but she didn't die yet. Like I said, we actually never saw him kill her. We saw him fly and grab her, and then that was it. And then we see that the woman was missing and stuff. So we actually don't know if he killed her until we see her body up on the wall and next to his ship. So, but yeah, the production, everything was great. I mean, all the kills looked great. All the bodies, the dead chickens.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
all his abilities. He basically had he showed having almost all the abilities of Superman. He didn't have the breath, but he had the brains. He had the flight. Yeah, he had the strength. He had the invulnerability. He had everything Superman had.
We didn't see him use X-ray vision.
Yeah, oh, that's right. We didn't see X-ray vision and we didn't see his breath, the breath. But he has gotten them yet. He is still 12. So, if you watch Smallville, it took him a while to get all his abilities, and so he got flight faster, way faster. So yeah, I think the production was great. Everything looked phenomenal. Everything looked great. Everything they shot. The it looked like a small Kansas town. Like everything was perfectly placed. The whole. Like I said, I love this movie. They did. I think the budget was pretty low for all the special effects that they had, and everything they did. So they did a phenomenal job, and 6 million, which for a big Hollywood movie is not really a lot of money compared to some other movies. So I think they did a great job on the budget, and yeah, I love it. You, Dave?
I loved the production. I thought it was very well done. The special effects. I mean, the special effects team was awesome on this film. I think. I mean, you had Josh Hacklin from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on the project. Which I think you can definitely see his influence on some of the death scenes here.
Not me, because I know Texas Chainsaw.
The jaw scene in particular, that was
awesome.
It was awesome. I mean, it did look real.
It really looked like his jaw fell apart, and like the fact that he wasn't dead though. I could just picture him like holding his jaw together the whole time, and them like trying to stick it together. Like, how would they even put his jaw back together? Like, I don't think they could medically do that. With as much advancement we have in medical and what they can do and can't do, I don't think they could fucking actually put that jaw back together again.
No. He fucked it up royally.
I mean, he had the steering wheel went through. His steering wheel went through straight through his jaw. Like, it's just gruesome way to die. Gruesome.
I did.
I think that's like the worst death in this.
The worst thing about it is he didn't even die right away. So he suffered.
Right.
He like really suffered. I mean, he even made it to the hospital before he died. Feel bad for him, like. I think the mother might have been tortured too, the waitress, because, well, like I said, we don't see when she gets killed, and we see her body hanging up on the wall. So we don't know when exactly she was killed. So she might have been tortured as well. The quickest death was probably the father. He probably had a few seconds of intense pain before his face melted off and his brains were blown out. But, other than that, he probably had the quickest death.
Well, actually, I thought about the waitress. The last moment we saw her before her body was found was Brandon kind of jumped on her. Jump scare kind of moment, so I assumed that was the moment when he killed her. I didn't.
Yeah, well, they don't show it, so you can assume that, but I wouldn't assume it because you don't see if he kills her there. You see her dead body hanging up on the wall, so that tells me why would he hang up the body if it's dead? Like, I think he tortured her first. Which is, he says he wants to be good, but I mean, the way he kills people, he's methodical about it, and then he covers his tracks. He's not like accidentally killing people with his powers. he's thinking about it. He's premeditating, and
Oh yeah.
he's methodically thinking about it, and he's then covering up his tracks, and so he's definitely a serial killer. Um,
Well, uh,
as,
Yeah.
as much as
uh,
he
uh,
says he wants to be good, he's not.
well,
He's
one possible way to interpret it is he originally was good before he found the spaceship. So maybe something from the spaceship distorted his
like
mind.
possessed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe
That that is possible.
when he
That
said
is
Controlled him.
he
possible.
wanted to be good, maybe that was a moment of his original consciousness kicking in for a moment and then going back to being what
Yeah.
he is.
It's true that that is possible. I mean, unless we get another movie or something to explain this, we don't know, and that is possible that that voice was controlling him, or
Yeah,
possessing him or something, and he couldn't control his actions.
but
Um,
one thing this movie left me wondering is if throughout this whole time the parents knew or thought the spaceship might be dangerous or something. Why did they just lock it up? Why didn't they destroy it, try to get rid of it or
Well, they didn't
something?
know the spaceship was dangerous. They had to hide the spaceship because, if the government or anyone found the spaceship, they would look for the alien and eventually probably lead back to them. Just like
Uh,
they did the exact same thing as the Kents did with Clark Kent with Superman.
but
They hid the spaceship in the barn. I mean,
Okay, yeah, but they seemed really afraid of the possibility of Brandon finding it
well, that was
because
later
no,
on. They
he
weren't
Well,
didn't.
yeah.
afraid of Brennan until later. They just saw him as a like a normal kid, even though he came from a spaceship, so they knew he wasn't an Earthling. But he still seemed like a
It was,
normal
they had to have
human,
known.
like kid.
They had to have known that eventually he would start asking questions.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I mean, just like same thing with,
the
like I said,
first
same thing
time
was.
he tried to, uh, the first time he tried to break the padlock, and the mother saw it, she spoke to her husband, and she seemed really afraid of the possibility of him finding that spaceship. So
Yeah.
I I got the impression that she was afraid that something bad might happen if he found it.
Well,
So
Well,
like
she
any
just didn't want him finding out he's a fucking alien at 12 years old. I'm
oh,
sure they want to rather tell him when he's a little older and more mature. Like Clark finds it in Smallville when he's like 15 or 16. He's a
oh
little
yeah,
older and stuff. So it's just he's
like
12 and can't process things the
oh,
same
when
way.
he fully found out, he was mad. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he
was
freaked
angry.
out. He started screaming and said, you all lied to me," and yelled. And he didn't
oh,
hurt anybody at that point, but he did freak out and run out and
You
everything.
lied to
So
me. You lied to me.
yeah.
yeah, well, all these things make me wonder why didn't they at least try to destroy that thing before anyone found it?
What are you
Well,
gonna do?
because
What are you gonna do to destroy an alien ship?
I
yeah,
don't
It
know,
survived. It survived going thousands of miles through space and crash landing on Earth.
I mean, don't you think someone in that small town would notice them like taking it
Yeah,
somewhere?
they're trying to destroy a ship. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they were trying to keep the fact that their adopted kid is an alien. So because like you said, we shoot first and ask questions later. So they don't want their kid fucking shot, killed or experimented on. That was always the thing in Smallville is they were always worried that they would take Clark and try to experiment on him and and figure out his secrets and dissect him and shit. And I believe that's what we would do if we couldn't kill him. We'd try to capture him and dissect him and figure out how they work and everything about him. Like we don't have the reputation of being nice to to that if there's
Anything we don't
aliens.
understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. So let's talk about the music. The soundtrack has Fireflies in a Steel Mill, which was performed by The Elected. In Here, which was performed by 16 Jackies. Better the Silence, which was courtesy of Extreme Music. Three Little Birds, which was written by Bob Marley. Our World, which was performed by Sonny Cleveland. Send Her to Me, which was performed by Wayne Chance. Heaven, which was performed by the Paper Chain Gang. Before the Sun Goes Down, which was written by Aaron Lay, and Bad Guy, which was performed by Billie Eilish. Did any of y'all remember any of these songs in any way, shape, or form?
Actually, I think I did hear the Billie Eilish one even before I watched this movie.
Okay. So I guess maybe it might have been popular at one point in time.
I think the music went with the movie. It's, you don't really notice it too much, so it didn't distract you from the movie or anything. It just kind of added to the movie. So I think the soundtrack was good. I mean,
Yeah.
some movies you're better off not hearing the music too much. It isn't always the case. I mean, I think Star Wars, obviously is an opposite case. Superman's an opposite case. But I think in this case, not hearing the music too much was good. It kind of blends in with the movie. I mostly noticed the music from the credits. It is what I noticed the most, but the movie's already over. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say about the music, except I think it went with the movie. So it did his job.
Okay. I'm looking at the composer here of the score, and I guess that was done by Tim Williams. And I guess before this, he did the music behind a western called Diablo, which I thought was kind of good. I've picked up the movie Debug from Dollar Tree, so I know that one. Let's see. I have a copy of the Brazen Bull, which I have yet to see, but I guess he did the music behind that. Another movie that I remember in the horror atmosphere of the indie world was Aberration, which I know I have a copy of it. He did the music behind that, but other than that, those are the main ones that he did behind. But I don't think he did a bad job. I think the score went along with the movie per se, just like the soundtrack. Did it accentuate it? I'm not sure, like this time or the last time that I per se paid attention to it, but I don't think it did it badly at all. I do think it did it justice. What do y'all think?
I agree, yeah.
Okay. Let's go into favorite scenes then. If there was a favorite scene or favorite character, what would you choose, Boris?
Favorite character is not even a question. Of course, Brandon is my favorite character.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And the favorite scene, actually, it's kind of difficult to choose one, but I have to say I really took a delight every time when someone tried to take a patronizing attitude towards Brandon and he just fucked them up. Uh, yeah, like when the aunt was trying to make him show some remorse, and he was like, "Better get rid of that patronizing attitude, or you're doomed." Uh, and but no, that one probably wasn't my favorite scene. Which one would be? Oh, maybe when his father started to yell at him and he just grabbed him and threw him against the wall and broke the wall. That was amazing. Maybe that was even more impacting than the father's death because the death was kind of expected at that moment, and when he threw him against the wall, that was maybe more shocking and more unexpected, and therefore more impacting to me at least.
Okay. What about you, Krol? If there was a favorite character or favorite
Favorite
scene.
character, me, Brandon Myers.
Uh,
And I disagree with the father. Yes, I did expect the kid to kill him. I didn't expect him to burn his face and shoot his brain through the other side of his
oh,
skull. So
uh,
that was quite shocking and splow, you know.
spun out.
I would
Oh,
have to say that is one of my favorite scenes. I have three. I'm sorry, I can't just narrow down to one. Um, the other two is the uncle with the jaw. The jaw
oh,
falling and trying to hold it together was just splow too,
spun
and
out.
just so fucking awesome and I'll never every time I think of this movie, I'll never forget the scene where he drops his mother. So
Oh yeah.
I have to say that because I mean, as soon as you say Brightburn, that pops in my head. Like just think of this movie, that scene just pops in my head. Like him killing his mother.
Well,
Like that so it has to be those three scenes are the most
well,
horrific and gruesome scenes of the movie. So I guess for this type of film, my favorite.
uh, well. Don't get me wrong. The father's death definitely was a good scene. What I was just saying is not that it
I know what you're
wasn't good.
saying
It
that it was
was,
more
but
surprising. I get that, but and yes, I was expecting the kid to kill him too, but I just wasn't expecting the kid to kill him the way he did kill him. So it was just
oh yeah,
that was I think better in my opinion. You know, it's
uh,
opinions. I'm not saying your
yeah.
opinion's wrong. I'm just saying I disagree and as far as the scenes go. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
they're both
the
great scenes. Um,
yeah, the death definitely was a
but I think the death
scene.
was a better
I
scene.
just
Um,
uh, I just personally took more delight in the scene when he threw him against the wall first because it was more surprising.
yeah, it was more delightful seeing his brains pop out.
Yeah, and second because I really like the scene when Brandon shows superiority over someone when someone else finds themselves afraid of a 12-year-old. And here, when he killed the father, okay, it was a good scene, but the father was already dead. He was no longer in shock. He was no longer afraid. So, and in the
You're
scene
right.
that
You're right. But still, it was great. But anyways,
you're right.
Dave, what about you?
Well, I'm gonna have to go. Uh, I'm gonna have to go with Brandon as my favorite character.
I
There is
mean,
no.
who else would you pick? Come on.
Right.
I'm the best.
Well, yeah, the mother. I don't know. She was just too.
I liked the mother. She
I didn't.
she she was a typical mother. She was protected her son to everything until she really realized, oh fuck, he's killing people, and then she killed her husband. Like that's when she finally realized it. But she was a mother. She really was. She protected her young. Like she played the perfect role perfectly. I love that actress. Elizabeth Banks, she's a good actress, and I think she did the role great. I think everyone acted the roles good. You know, the uncle, the aunt, the father, the father. I think he caught on really quick to what Brandon was, and so I don't know. I think he might have caught on a little too quick. Like he was too quick to blame his son, whereas the
Good
mother
point.
wasn't. But you know, again,
Uh,
that's
Yeah, I
just
think he came on a little bit too harsh,
yeah,
as a
exactly,
father figure.
exactly.
Um, to
But he
be honest,
again, well, when he apologized, I think he did mean it because I don't think he meant to be harsh, and he was upset. His best friend was just killed, but yeah, but he had been drinking too, so he was probably a little under the influence of alcohol as well, and probably overreacted. He was right, but still, he
uh,
didn't know he was right,
uh,
and then
uh,
I did like the fact
mention another.
that when Brandon was in school and he like cited all that information that the chick that he really liked like turned around and like actually like acted like she really liked him at first. Um, as far as the creepiness that he showed to her, I wasn't really a fan of that yet. I understood why it needed to happen. Um,
oh yeah,
uh,
I mean, he was definitely an outsider looking in. So for him, it seemed more natural for him to go spy on her and be perverted instead of just talking to her. Even though he did talk to her in the classroom, he still probably felt more comfortable being that outsider because that's what he's used to being is the outsider looking in on the happening. So I
as
definitely.
far as my favorite scenes per se would probably be definitely the jaw moment. That was a
It
great
was a
moment
jaw dropping
in
moment.
special effects.
You
That
get
was
what I
a
did
great
there? It was a jaw dropping moment. It
it was a
Wow.
dropping moment, yes. Um,
jaw dropping moment.
uh,
A
and
literal jaw drop.
I will remember it because it
Hey,
was
Uncle, you're looking a little long in the jaw there.
it was it was one of those moments where I was like, yes, but um,
I felt bad for the uncle. At the same
I
time, I
did.
was like, "Fuck, that was an awesome scene."
Well, yeah, because he
I
didn't
mean, I felt
fully
bad for
deserve.
everyone, even the waitress, even though she was such a cunt, like she really was. I mean, again, her daughter hand was crushed. I get that, but I think she was definitely went overboard with it. Um, but I still felt bad for her, and felt bad for everyone that was killed. But
uh,
the poor sheriff, like he just got splattered.
oh,
Yeah,
spud out.
that was
Wait, that wasn't a spud
that
out
was
to
just
you.
bad.
And we didn't talk about that scene, but yeah,
Yeah, how
uh,
was the sheriff not a spud out
it,
to
it,
you?
it kind of reminded me of when A Train. Have you watched The Boys?
I have not.
Uh,
Well, okay.
not yet.
Well, if you guys watch The Boys, A Train, who's basically the Flash character, runs through a woman. And I mean, runs right through her body, splatters all over her boyfriend in the road.
Oh, spud out.
Yeah, this is the first episode, the first thing you fucking see. So it starts out like that. Like I said, you gotta watch the show. It's fucking phenomenal. Um, yeah, it's basically there's the seven, right? And six of them are assholes. I mean, one of them isn't so as bad, but one of them's the worst. But they're all supposed to be heroes, but they're not. They're not really heroes. Then there's the seventh who shows up, and she actually is a hero, and then realizes how much the rest aren't. But you guys gotta watch that show, The Boys. It's on its fourth season now. I love it. Elizabeth Shue was in the first 3 seasons.
Okay.
By the way,
go ahead.
There was a scene that I forgot to mention that I also really liked when we actually got to see all of Brandon's drawings. That was also really impressive.
Oh yeah, it definitely was impressive. Psychopathic, but impressive.
I think a moment that I remember from this is when the mother was hiding under the bed and he was just flying around it, and you could see his feet like not touching the ground while he was searching for her.
Yep.
And then she did the most stupid of moves, which is she got out from under the bed not long after he'd left. I was like, "You stupid bitch!"
But she didn't. I was thinking the same thing, but she was smart because she hid outside the window. He never found her, and that's when she jumped down and got to the barn and went and got the weapon. So she actually, it turned out she was smart. She actually was smart, whereas most people do the stupidest things, and she actually is what you thought was stupid turned out to be smart. Unfortunately, then she turned around and got too mushy and got herself killed. But until that moment, she was smart. But again, she was a mother. So, she couldn't just kill her son without saying, I've always loved you, which I would understand. I understand, this, even though being really wasn't her son, it was for her son for fucking, 11 years or whatever. So,
12, I think.
Well, he's 12, but how old was he when she found him? He was a baby. Well, he could have been a year or a few months. We don't know exactly how old he was.
Cool. Okay, yeah.
I know, like Superman was like 3 or 4. By the time he arrived on Earth. By the time he arrived on Earth.
Quite a baby.
He kept growing like even after he got out of the spaceship. So that wasn't his fault.
So I'd have to say that we don't know exactly. I mean, they showed the one scene where he was a baby, and she did say he was so tiny when she first found him. So maybe he wasn't a year old, but we don't know exactly how old he was.
Yeah,
but those are some of my favorite moments. The moment when he sprung that freezer door, that was pretty cool.
When he first he uses laser beam eyes, and then he busted open the door. Cool.
But other than that, I think those are pretty much my favorite scenes.
Jaw-dropping moment.
Gotta love it, though.
I can't believe I didn't say that when I was watching the movie.
And I do have to say that when he dropped his mother, that was a pretty spoodow moment too.
That totally was. I mean, that was.
I
had to list that. Like I said, when I think of this movie, every time I thought of this movie, I think of that scene. And it's just so horrible, the way he kills her, and just it's just right after I want to be good, and then she tries to kill him, and he just drops her from thousands of feet up in the air, and then crashes a plane into the house.
On that moment, is there anything else that y'all wanted to say about this film before we end the discussion? Alrighty.
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Boris.
The one else at the very end when they said that Brandon was the only survivor of the plane crash and all that, was anyone else reminded of the ending of the first Omen movie?
Just a little bit. I almost feel like the director had the Omen in mind
I was
for
not
this
thinking of the
the film
Omen,
a
but
little bit, because it definitely had the Omen vibes. But in any case, hopefully you enjoyed our discussion on this film. I had fun discussing with you this film with you boys, and hopefully we'll have many more cool discussions in the future. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film yourself. Go out and see it. It is amazing, and we'll see you next time. Whose
same
turn?
bad time, same bad channel.
Whose
Oh
turn
wait,
is
that's
it?
a different movie.
Is it your turn, Krol, next?
Yes.
Uh,
Stay
have
tuned
you?
for us next week for Pulp Fiction. Uh,
Ah, that's right.
it is not a superhero, but it's adjacent to comic books. Pulp Fiction's a was a magazine type of magazine. So it's adjacent to comics at least. The reason we're doing this is because I found out that someone has not seen this film. And I think everybody has seen this film, and I did recommend that you watch the film twice in a row because you will not understand this film the first time you see it. You might get in some enjoyment. I did get some enjoyment from the film. Some of the liners were funny, but I was too busy trying to understand what the movie's about to completely enjoy it. So the second time I watched it, I figured it out. After that, I really enjoyed it. I've seen it probably over a dozen times now. It's such a great film. Has such a incredible cast. I mean, just incredible cast. And yeah, I think we're gonna have some fun with that next week. So please join us.
Definitely. So like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully you enjoy us every time. And we'll see you next time. So everyone, say good night.
Good night.
Good night.